I might take my head out. Is that alright? No, it isn't. I look like a mad scientist. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to start another week of reading. It's actually not the beginning of the week. It's Tuesday today, but it's close enough to the beginning of the week, right? As always, I'm going to start off by talking to you about the book that I'm reading at the moment. I'm currently reading one book, and then I also want to start another book because this one is quite a chunky book. So I do want to start another book that will be a bit more easy. Like, I'm thinking something that's either a thriller, so that it is quite fast paced, or do something that's more like young, like YA or middle grade. So the book that I am reading at the moment is It by Stephen King. As I said, it's a big book. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm also filming a separate video that is all about it, and I was questioning whether I still wanted to film like a vlog like this, like a weekly vlog, and I thought I would, because this video is going to be a little bit different to my usual reading vlogs, because it's going to focus more so on the actual things that happen in it. So it's kind of like a spoiler-filled reading vlog. This is my third time reading it, and I've watched the films a couple of times, like the 2017 and the 2019 adaptations, and I thought it would be fun when I was embarking on my third read of this book to basically do a video in which I talk about more or less everything that happens in the book, talk about the differences between the book and the two most recent films. This is really the book that got me back into reading, so I love it so much. I love it with all my heart. It will always have a place in my heart, even though, you know, there's a lot of critiques, which I can see why they are, but there's also a lot of people that are not going to want to read this because of the length, will not be able to read it because of the length, or because of the way it's written, or because of the content of it. Like, there's a lot of reasons why someone would not read it but would still be interested in finding out like what happens in it. Everyone's probably curious about something but doesn't actually want to find it out themselves, so therefore they can use me to do that, you know? As I said, I'm currently reading this. I thought that, seeing as the other one is more so focused on what actually happens in the book and is more spoilery, I thought within this vlog that I could still tell you kind of how far I've gotten, how my general feelings are, without going too much into depth. As I said, I also want to start another book. I don't actually know what that is. I don't know what other book I want to start. So let's have a look at the books I've got on my TBR. I think my three main options for the moment are going to be this gorgeous book. This buy was purely on the recommendation of someone that worked in Waterstones, and he said he just finished it and it was part of like the buy one get one half price. That's one option. I think my second option is going to be Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. Potentially taking my fancy right now is The Near Witch, and I think this is YA, so it would be quite easy to read, but I will obviously tell you when I do pick up one of these books. I also kind of wanted to show you my progress with my crochet patchwork cardigan, because I'm really nerding it up here. This is it right here. I have managed to put together quite a lot of it, and I'm quite feeling it. It looks very granny-ish. I'm fine with that, to be fair. Like, I was never trying to persuade anyone that I was, you know, any cooler than a grandma anyway. It's not got any sleeves on yet. It's only got one front panel, and I'm thinking I'm going to need to make the back panel a bit bigger in order for it to be like slouchy and comfortable. Are we ready for this? See? It's pretty cool. I've just stitched up this side bit. I'm liking the length of it. Like, I have no issues with the length of it. I just need to figure out what's going on. That's all the things I have to update you on. I'll see you later. I thought I would update you because I have come to a decision of what book I want to read. And the reason that I'm going to go with this book is because I'm just really like, I don't know if you ever have like a moment where your mood just switches like so drastically. So I'm going to pick up that middle grade that I was talking about. I feel like the fact that it's middle grade is I'm hoping there's going to be some like heartwarming moments in there. So, and also because it's quick, I'm going to just pick that up for now, but I'm going to read for like half an hour or something like that and see if that helps me out, because I could use it. I wanted to point out the fact that I have been listening. Let me just find it. I was talking to Leah the other day, my friend Leah. I will leave her channel linked below. She's wonderful. You should go and check her out and follow her, subscribe to her if you're not already. We were talking about Christmas music, and she was saying how she had found this like lo-fi Christmas music playlist, and I've been playing it as I've been reading because it's actually really good to read to, because it's like not got that many words and stuff like that on Spotify. Leah, if you're watching this, thank you for sending that playlist to me, because it's so good. It's like, it's also kind of discombobulating because like some of them are inspired by actual Christmas songs, and then it's like, you know, new compositions or whatever, but like lo-fi version, and it's a bit weird, but it's also really fun. I really like it. It's like soothing and just like chill, definitely bringing Christmas vibes without it being in your face. So that's what I'm gonna do. ASMR. Good morning. It is Wednesday today, which means that I was going to say the most recent episode, but it's not actually the most recent episode. So basically I've been watching the most recent season of American Horror Story on Disney Plus, because I obviously don't live in the US, so I couldn't watch it when it was like originally coming out on FX. So instead I'm watching it on Disney Plus, but they are releasing it like kind of later. I think they waited until the whole season was over, and now they've started releasing it episode by episode, one episode every Wednesday. Yes, the 4th episode is coming out today, which I'm very excited for. I've really been enjoying it because it's kind of got like vampire themes and not quite your classic vampires, which I also really appreciate. It's a very interesting season. I'm really enjoying it. The reason that I wanted to come on and talk to you is basically just to tell you that I did start The Monsters of Brookhaven yesterday. I'm really enjoying it. You might have seen, because I'm hoping I've inserted some clips, but there's some really great illustrations in it. And I think that's one thing that like I wouldn't mind more of in YA and adult books. I mean, I know that like it's a different tone and stuff like that, but I think it's such a shame, this idea that only sort of children's and middle grade books should have illustrations in, because they just really add something. Like, it's been really fun to have these illustrations in there whilst I've been reading the story. I am nearly done with part 2, so I'm like a decent chunk of the way through. I'm not really good at like judging middle grade books. Obviously they're not written with the intention of like adults reading them and reading them critically and stuff like that, so I'm never very harsh on middle grade books. For me, the most important thing is there a plot there, because I think if I personally was the age at which I'd be reading middle grade books solely, I would probably be wanting a lot of plot. So there is quite a, like, there's not a really exciting plot as per se. There's definitely something going on. It is, the initial thought is that it basically is giving me a mixture of like Addams Family and Hotel Transylvania is like the two things that it reminds me of, and not like, I mean it's quite different from those two, but when you kind of mix them together, that kind of idea that we've got a house that is very separate from the rest of town where these monsters live, and they kind of use that house, I guess, as protection. So basically like the actual plot is that these two, so the people that live in the house are all monsters, and there's these two humans that kind of show up one day, and they manage to get through this kind of magical like protection thing. They have this kind of barrier so that people that don't know how to get in, like that don't have a key, shouldn't be able to get into the house and shouldn't be able to like get through this thing. And for some reason there's a hole in it, so these two humans kind of come in, and obviously they're confused because like there's weird stuff going on because they're monsters, and also the monsters are conflicted on whether to help them or not. But our main character Mirabelle, she is very adamant on the fact that they should help them, even though they don't know them and they're not from the village and stuff like that. She still thinks that they should help them, so they have to stick around for a while, also because one of them is quite ill, so they do have to stick around for a while. And then we've got this other character called Piglet, who is kind of like just a mass. He's just a mass, like a blob that sort of can get bigger and can get smaller, and is kind of described as just having this insatiable hunger. And they basically lock Piglet in like a room, and he's never allowed out. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, one of the humans kind of lets him out, and all hell breaks loose. I've been really enjoying it, and like it's just nice every now and again to pick up a middle grade, because obviously It makes things different. I'm gonna sit and read some more of this. I do want to switch back to it at some point because I do want to make progress on it. But for now, I'm going to stick to the Monsters of Rookhaven. So, yeah. Hello everyone, today is Thursday. I don't actually have any lessons today or tomorrow, which is very good. So I thought I would take these next 2 days and just really use them to my advantage, because I don't tend to get a lot of time like this, like looking into my schedule in the future. I don't think I actually have any weeks where I have any days off. So this is going to be very good. I'm going to update you on it first because I haven't made as much progress in this as I have in the other book. The problem with this is that because it is such a big book, and like despite the fact that it is so chunky, it's also got like very small words, and particularly like when I have time to read, which is usually after the sun's gone down, it's really difficult for me to sit and read these pages. When it's really small text, it kind of very easily makes me feel kind of tired and lethargic. So that's just really annoying because I want to be reading this for longer, but I've realised that if I kind of read for like half an hour, 45 minutes, and have a little bit of a break and then go back to it, it kind of works. So that's what I was doing last night, and I think I probably managed to read just under 100 pages. I am still very much enjoying this. One thing that I like completely forgot, because at the time of reading this, I can't remember if I mentioned it, but at the time of reading this, like the first time and the second time, I basically wasn't as immersed in booktube as I am now because I didn't have my own channel. I was only just watching videos every now and again. I'm able to see a lot more opinions of it and people kind of talking about why they have like what their different opinions are and sort of what the reasoning behind that is. And my friend Chelsea read this in October, and one of the things that she pointed out was basically there's these interludes which are just to do with the history of Derry, and she was like, they're so boring, I don't want to read them, like this is the most boring part of it, the rest of it's fun, and then there's just this history. And I've only read one of the interludes so far and it was only like 20 pages or something, but like I can totally see that. Like the interludes are so boring, but aside from that, everything's fun. There is just so much detail, and there's a lot of things that happen in this book that just like completely slipped my mind. Like every time I watch the movie I forget how much has been left out. And I do think that the things that have been left out, or the things that have been slightly changed in order to kind of fit the narrative of the films, was for the better in terms of translating it to film, because I am a strong believer of the fact that you're never going to be able to translate a book to a film perfectly, because there's just different things that work. That's kind of like all I have to say on that. Then I did, later on in the night, I switched over to the Monsters of Rookhaven. This book is just very, very fun. I really don't have much to say. What has happened since I last updated you, obviously I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically there's this man that has shown up and has kind of been welcomed into the house of someone that lives in the village, but there's something a bit odd about him because there's this son of this house in the village, and he just senses that something's off, but his dad seems to be completely under this dude's spell. Like his dad doesn't realise anything's wrong, but he just has this feeling that something's off. And the guy kind of also asks about the house of Rookhaven, so there's something with that. I'm at the very end. I've just started part 4. My priority is to finish this today and then focus on it. I think maybe tomorrow I'll start another book just so that I have something else to flip between. I think I've got about 70 pages left of this, so I might try and sit and finish it right now. Also, little update. I've got a Christmas jumper on. Not Christmas jumper, I've got a Christmas t-shirt on because I like it. My friend Sarah, you may know her as Sarah Lorraine Reads here on BookTube and on Bookstagram. She posted on her stories that she'd like basically started putting up her Christmas decorations, and it was a picture of her Christmas tree. And like it made me really sad. No, it made me really happy because I love Christmas trees, but also it made me really sad because I just want Christmas decorations up right now, and I don't really have any because it wasn't the thing that I was thinking about in January when I was moving. So I don't actually have any Christmas decorations. I will check in with you at some point. So I have just finished this gorgeous little book, and it was, as I was saying before, it was so much fun. It's really sweet. Middle grade always kind of has this feeling of there being some kind of message or moral sprinkled throughout. Sometimes it can seem just a little bit too preachy as an adult reading it, because obviously you don't have the same way of reading things as kids. But this one was done so well. Like, it was just so sweet. I read the kind of afterword, like the author's note afterwards, and it kind of explained how the author was originally just wanting to write a story about monsters, and that like he was so obsessed with monsters as he was a kid, but like as he grew older he began to realize that monsters aren't as straightforward as being like these bad things that are really, really easy to define, and that there's imaginary monsters that can be really complicated, but there's also monsters in real life. Basically, all these really strong negative feelings like grief and envy and anger and just all that stuff really are the monsters that humans deal with, and it was just interesting to see that. Since then I have worked on a video and I've just exported it, so I need to upload it and get it all ready. Thinking maybe doing my bookshelves. I am gonna try and sit down and read a decent chunk of it. So just done an update for my It video, because this is what I've been reading recently. Guys, it's such a struggle to film this video. Like, I cannot tell you how difficult I'm finding this, so I hope it ends up all right. The progress that I've made is, I think I read just over 100 pages last night. And obviously you saw that I finished the middle grade book. Today I'm thinking of picking up another book, but I don't know what. Again, I'm going to want it to be something quite easy and different from this. I've also got 2 graphic novels that I was supposed to read in October, and then I just never did because I just didn't have any time. The problem with me is that when it's such a short book, when it's like a graphic novel, I want it to be like the perfect time. But the atmosphere just never seems to be right. Do you know what I mean? I put things off until like, because I just want it to be like perfect timing. But there's never a perfect timing, because that's life. I'm going to sit and read some more of this because I definitely want to make some progress. I definitely want to get to the start of part 3, which is this much, like today, 489. So I definitely want to read at least 100 pages. I want to try and make more progress than that though, because I kind of want to get this done within this week, and it's Friday today. I've also got a couple of videos that I really want to film. Even when I have absolutely nothing that I actually need to do, I still manage to raise the bar and make myself freak out, because I feel like there's loads of things that I need to do, or at least things that I really want to do, and then I just end up doing nothing because like stress, overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed, and if I'm not overwhelmed I will make myself overwhelmed because I have a problem. I'm gonna go now. See you later. I'm just doing my usual thing. I say I'm going to read a certain amount of pages, I just don't do it. The thing that I was going to talk to you about was, first of all, today is, what is the date today? The 12th? Today is the 12th of November, Friday the 12th of November. All I know is at this moment as I am filming, Red Taylor's version is out, the album, and I started listening to it. Obviously this also includes the 10-minute version of All Too Well. I haven't actually listened to the whole thing. I think I listened to like 7 minutes of it this morning and then just end up doing something else. So I've been listening to that and I've been really enjoying it. Basically, when I first started listening to Taylor Swift, it was when the album Red came out. So yeah, good memories. I went to get food because I had no food, so I went shopping. Every time that I've been shopping since they put Christmas stuff in my local supermarket. I've been walking past the advent calendars because there's quite a few, and looking at a particular advent calendar, and I really wanted it, but I was like, I don't want to spend money on it. And because of the fact that I did an exam last Monday, the 1st of November, it was actually alright, to be fair. But I am a big believer in, you know, just treating yourself, rewarding yourself when you do something slightly out of the ordinary, or not even slightly out of the ordinary, just, you know, for doing something. So I got myself the advent calendar. It's the Pucker Tea one. Listen, there's so many different advent calendars that are like chocolate or sweets or something like that, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, if I had money I would probably buy multiple because they all look really good. But one advent calendar that wasn't around a lot when I was younger, and I think has started becoming more popular like recently, is like tea ones and coffee ones. And also Pucker Tea is personally my favourite brand of tea. I don't really drink a lot of different brands of tea, but like Pucker is the only sort of brand of tea where every flavour I've tasted, whether I like it or not, it feels like, you know, it's strong. Like it tastes strong, because most tea you just like brew it and then it's really weak and disgusting, and that's why I stick to English breakfast tea. That, and because I am British as hell, but also just because like otherwise it just tastes really weak. I'm excited for this, and it also smells really nice. The whole reason that I wanted to show this to you guys and talk about it is basically that I was just thinking, right, sometimes I like to use my brain and use it in a capacity that is not to do with my education. It's actually quite nice sometimes. But I was just thinking about how for the longest time no one ever spoke about just like, you know, congratulating yourself on doing things, whether they're big or small. It was kind of this, and I think there still is to a certain degree, there's this mentality of like, you're only allowed to celebrate, or you're only allowed to congratulate yourself or be proud of yourself if you do something big, which is just bullshit. Like, honestly, I think that humans would be a lot happier. We'd be able to function a lot better in society if we just cut ourselves some slack and we're just proud of the fact that we exist. From a biological, like medical, biomechanical standpoint, and this is something that like I've always known, but like you come to realize it more and more as you learn about the human body and you learn about the different mechanisms. You cannot imagine the amount of mechanisms that go on just to keep you breathing, like just to keep you alive. Not even just breathing, just your body as itself to be what it is at this point in time. There's so much that's gone into it to keep you alive. There's so much going into it, and it's not just like keeping you alive. There's also functions that are unnecessary in keeping you alive, which you still have, which is kind of that in itself. Like, you should pat yourself on the back just for existing as a human. Every once in a while, just think about how amazing you are and the fact that you exist. You know, pat yourself on the back, reward yourself, do something nice. One thing that I do every time I have an exam, I kind of promise myself that I'll have like, you know, something nice to eat, and it usually will end up being pasta, because I really like pasta. It's like my favourite meal, but particularly I really like ravioli. I don't know, oh, actually no, tortellini, that's the one. I really like tortellini, so whenever I do an exam, tortellini is usually the thing that I think about. That and trying to pass the exam, you know, that's also important. Just being, you know? I feel like it's difficult nowadays to just be, especially when you compare yourself to everyone else, but just take a moment to just be, and not necessarily be anything, just be. Anyway, the rest of the day, there's not that much left of the day really. So obviously I want to continue reading it. I'm going to try and get as much done as possible. I'm not too far away from completing part 2.
But your lips close to mine, as long as they don't touch. Out of focus, eye to eye, till the gravity's too much. And I'd do anything you say, if you say it with your hands. And I'd be smart to walk away, but you're quicksand. These therapies tried to erase this daydream is dangerous. a sleepless night, and I'll get you alone. Your name has echoed through my mind, and I just think you should know that not being safe is worth the job. And now we make quite a mess, babe. It's probably better off this way. And I confess, babe, that in my dreams you touch on my face, asking me if I wanna try again with you. And I almost do, and I just wanna tell you, it takes everything in me not to call you.
Oh my god, I'm so red, it's actually kind of crazy.
Ooh, stay. This morning we should talk about it, 'cause I read you should never leave a fight unsolved. That's when you came in a football helmet, said okay, let's talk. And I said stay. I've been loving you for quite some time. You think that it's funny when I'm mad. I think that it's best if we both stay.
Good morning, it's Saturday today. So my friend Zach over at Books and Bops, I will of course link his channel down below, is hosting some reading sprints later on today at I think like 4 p.m. for me. So I'm very excited for them, and I've actually got sprints tomorrow that I'm doing myself with my friend Sarah, so that is going to be super fun. It will be the first time that I've hosted sprints or like just been on sprints in a very long time. Last night I did manage to reach my goal of getting to part 3. I didn't read any of part 3 unfortunately, but I am pretty happy with that. I'm kind of coming to terms with the fact that I'm not going to finish this within the next 2 days, and I'm completely fine with that. I really do want to start another book though, so I'm definitely going to start one, maybe one of the ones I showed you. I'm going to go for now. Goodbye. So I'm actually just going to do a very quick ending to this vlog. I didn't read any of it yesterday, but I did manage to get 150 pages into Leave the World Behind, and I'm not actually going to say anything about this book yet because I'm thinking I'm going to do a dedicated review for this on my channel, because I haven't really done any of those before, I don't think, but I thought it'd be really interesting. This book has been very interesting is the word that I will say. Interesting in the way that it's written. It feels very different to any thrillers I've ever read. It's got a very specific writing style that almost feels kind of like literary fiction. The way that I'm thinking of it right now is it kind of reminds me of the way that Jordan Peele is with his horror movies, that it is like horror, but it's also like a more nuanced version of horror, I guess, with like social commentary and stuff like that. And that's kind of what this thriller is feeling like. I haven't actually looked up what the genre is. I just always thought it was thriller, and I think I've heard from people that it's thriller. I wouldn't say that this book is difficult to read, but it definitely doesn't feel like commercial thriller. It definitely feels like something you need to think about, and it was a bit difficult to get into the writing style at first, but that could just be me. And it is definitely going to be a book where my rating really depends on the ending and kind of how everything falls into place after reading that. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. If you want to see more of my vlogs, there should be a playlist that I can link down below for you to go and watch some of my older vlogs. Recently I've been thinking a lot about Christmas because I always think about Christmas, but in relation to my content, I definitely want to have some more Christmas content like when it gets into December. If you have any Christmas themed or related videos that you think you'd like to see on my channel, my friend Zachary, who I did mention earlier, who did the sprints yesterday, he recently uploaded a video in which he was talking about some holiday romances that he was going to read, so that's like inspired me to pick up maybe some of them. I'll link that video down below so you can check it out. It was really good. But that's just my thoughts for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe because that would mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you in my next video.